Okay, so this is another form of talk. It's not the political talk. The Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana was established by an act of parliament. It is the sole body charged with the regulation of the accountancy profession here in our country. Well, the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana will be holding its Accountancy Week, and that's why I'm being joined now by the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute, Fred Moore. He's got a lot more details. We're also going to be talking about, I think we've talked about how stiff most of them can be with money, but we'll talk about their challenges. These are very hard times that we all find ourselves in. So good morning to you, Mr. Moore.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
Sure. Yeah. So tell us about the Accountancy Week. First of all, why do you have to dedicate a whole week to celebrate the work of accountants?
There's a number of reasons why, but I'll start off by telling you what we do, and then I'll come off by explaining the rationale behind it. We start off the week with a health walk.
Okay.
Accountants work very hard, and we believe that we need a healthy mind. A healthy body is a healthy mind.
Yeah. They sit for long hours too.
We're changing. What we also do is we go to the church. I heard you talk about witchcraft. We believe the power of God can stop some of these things. Then we have a conference, and the conference can be either 2 or 3 days, which ends with our AGM and a dinner dance. So the reason why we have it as a week is partly because of the number of activities that goes on within that. It also brings a lot of professional accountants together in the same place, so that we can look at some of the challenges of accountants. We can look at how the world is going, how Ghana is thriving or not, and how we can improve the well-being of the individual accountants and the nation.
Sure. Okay. So when is it starting?
It's starting on Sunday. We've done the health walk a week ago because we've got our graduation banged in the middle of it. So it's starting on Sunday at the church service at 8:30 at Pentecost International Worship Center opposite the Maritime University. That's when it starts. Okay.
So let's go back to, we've had different conversations. We talked about how some people feel that the courses that will get you to charter quite difficult. Do you have a lot more members today?
As of today, we've got over 4,000 members. Oh. The last time I spoke to you, we had just over, with close to 3,000. So within a year, we've had almost 1,000 members join. We've also had a lot of members who previously were not active become active now. So the number is roughly about 4,200.
Okay.
We've got a graduation, like I mentioned, on Saturday, which will add another 291 to it.
To the 4,000?
To the 4,200 and something. So it becomes about 4,500,
okay,
roughly. And you might think that that is a big jump. But in Ghana, we need over 20,000 accountants. As of today, we need over 20,000 chartered accountants in 2015. The question is, who are those people doing the jobs of the chartered accountants that we've got, that we should have in Ghana? And you get people with RSA, people with HND, people with degrees, all trying to do the job that a professional accountant should be doing. I don't know how many people want to go to a hospital and say that the porter, or however good the porter is, should be the person who is diagnosing them and giving them the medication. But lots of people do that with their business. And that, in some ways, could explain why the small businesses in Ghana never thrive to become the business in the future.
Isn't it because perhaps the chartered accountant will be too expensive for them? They can't pay them. If you can't pay them, why hire them?
That might be true to some degree, but if you're going to get the best, you have to pay the best rate. However, there are different stages of getting to become a chartered accountant. If you're a very small company, what I would expect you to do to employ somebody who is doing the chartered accountant professional qualification, because the level 1, level 2 will be able to give you that information and that level of expertise of the size of your business. Once the person qualifies, hopefully your business would have thrived and become a lot bigger. And therefore, that person could be part of the Chartered Accountancy Week. The Chartered Accountancy, the Accountancy Week is primarily for chartered accountants. So when we go for the conference, it's going to be 500 chartered accountants talking and discussing the issues that pertain to Ghana today, as well as international issues, and making sure that we are fit for purpose.
So to what extent can the chartered accountant help to eradicate corruption? We've been talking about corruption for a really long time. When we have lots of chartered accountants in the system, what would it help eliminate corruption?
Totally. And there is no advanced economy without a strong national body behind it. Right? And one of the things, if we had 20,000 chartered accountants, for example, one of the things that it will do is to make sure that the systems in the organizations are up to speed. It will also mean that one person is not responsible for too many things. If you've got a company, and you've got just one chartered accountant, what you are telling that person to do is to create the system, manage the system, report on the system, and do all the other things that goes with it. If it is a smaller, bigger company, like if you go to some of the multinationals, which are doing very well in Ghana, like Barclays, Standard Chartered, and the others, they've got a lot of chartered accountants in there, and therefore the systems are there. The segregation of duty is in place, and it then minimizes the corruption that can go on. The less accountants that you've got in your organization, the more prevalent corruption is likely to happen.
Okay, okay. We need a lot of those in MMDAs, for instance, but that's another subject I'll be discussing with my political guests. But, you know, the other issue that I wanted us to clear, maybe we should talk about, so how would the week end? Right. How will the whole week end?
We started talking about the beginning of the week, which is the church service. On Monday, the 27th of April, at 9 o'clock, we have a press conference, and that's normally held at the Institute offices. This year, we are adding another flavor to it. We are doing a photo exhibition as to how the Chartered Accountancy, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, have come up since 1963, and some of the activities that have been going on. On Tuesday, is first day conference. We have an opening ceremony which will be attended by the Omahene of Cape Coast, because the conference is in Cape Coast, and attended also by two of the guests of honors, are the Omahene and the regional minister. We have the vice chancellor speaking, and all of these functions on the first day will be chaired by our own president, Professor Omanientwi. So we are hoping to have a good conference first day, and then we have a second day. The theme of the conference, if I might add, is transforming the accountancy profession in Ghana.
Transforming it.
Transforming the accountancy profession in Ghana in the era of technology. Okay. You might want to ask, before I end, how it ends. Why that name? The part of the reason that we've got that name is that the accountancy profession is driven in the modern era by technology. There's a lot of technological advances that have happened with the smartphone, with high tech, and the government is also moving to high tech with GIVMIS and other systems that are coming in place. Those systems, as a body in Ghana that is solely charged to regulate the functions of accountancy, is to make sure that we support the government in the implementation of GIVMIS and making sure the systems are in place, the capacity and manpower and resources in place. And that is part of the reason that we'll start to eradicate and minimize corruption that we hear about. And that's one of the reasons why we've chosen this particular theme for this year.
Okay.
The whole of the conference will end with a fantastic dinner dance as usual. And this time we've also invited Amachi Dede to play for us.
Can everybody and anybody be there? Or is it strictly by invitation?
It's strictly by invitation.
That's not fair.
Yeah, the world is not very fair.
But you know, the other issue is, if an accountant, a chartered accountant in my institution is not doing well, is doing a few things. For instance, you've got one of your members here. His name is Daniel. Not that he's doing anything wrong, but can I report him to the institutes? I mean, if I found that he wasn't doing something right.
That is actually, we've had 3 complaints from 3 companies last in 2014. And I suspect that being on your show, being in the papers a lot more often, is beginning to make people aware of what we do. And yes, you can report that person. And we also pick up information from the papers. Anybody that is reported in the papers, we pick that up. We've got a professional and ethics committee, which is chaired by one of the big firms, partners, who chairs that function to make sure that anybody that goes through it is given due process in terms of the investigation and the hearing.
Okay.
Once we find that person has done something wrong as charged, then that person will be sanctioned. And the Act gives us power and a variety of sanctions, including I think the most penal of them is withdrawing the certificate. But people have been suspended in the past. What the power doesn't get, and I get this question asked quite a lot, why don't we publicize it in the papers? What the Act doesn't give us is the power to publish the names of wrongdoers in the papers.
Is this something that you're hoping that they would grant you? Is this something you're fighting for?
That is something we are in the process of drafting a new bill, and that is in will be in the new Act. Okay. If it is approved by Parliament, the Act will then give us power to publish those names in public so that people are aware. One of the things that we want to do, and I'll be speaking at the Public Service Commission conference this afternoon, and one of the offers that we are offering to all employers is referencing. Any employer that is employing an accountant or related business can come to us free of charge, and we give them reference.
Okay.
These are some of the things that will begin to stop people from committing the corruption that happens. Because if they know that there's going to be referencing, and if people are going to report back to us if something goes wrong, then that is what is going to stop it. It is not the after, when the person is put in prison. By that time, the horse is already bolted. What we need to do is to stop it, put measures in place to stop people committing those crimes.
I like that a lot. It means that Daniel Techi and Samson Ewoku, watch out. I am watching you guys.
And that we believe that they're very good. That's why you employ them.
Okay, but finally, I want us to talk about the challenges of the chartered accountant today, especially now that companies are cutting down their budget, they're squeezing. What are the challenges?
It's one of the things that any good chartered accountant would do in the company they work for is to work on the budget, that is the annual information, but also work on the projection and the strategy. Right. So the accountant should know 3 years before it actually happens how the trend of the business is shaping to be. So if there are problems for no fault of their own or the companies, then there's going to be squeeze. And there are certain things in the country that hasn't helped at the moment with the doomsday and other things that has been going on. However, the challenges, I wouldn't say that as the biggest challenge for chartered accountants, because we are not in it just for ourselves. What the core function of a chartered accountant is public interest. We need to provide public interest, public information, capturing of information, capturing of data, converting it into information for the public good, stakeholders and other things. However, what I would say is the biggest challenge to the Institute is the challenge of having not enough chartered accountants in the system. And if we could have that, a large number of some of the issues that goes on, that comes round every year, could be minimized. The other challenge is that our economy, as we all know, is not growing as big as it could have been. And therefore, it creates challenge not just for chartered accountants, but for businesses in the country. And we're hoping that with our support, working with the government, with GIFMIS, and with the IMF funding coming in, we'll begin to turn the corner and start to move forward.
Okay, we'll wait and see what happens. We're told 2017 could be very, very challenging. We hope we don't get there. But thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just the last thing that will be on our minds, what is going to be immediate? So today, Friday, something happening tomorrow or Monday?
Today we've got our pre-graduation dinner for the grad ones that are coming in on Saturday. And we have 291 grad ones, so that's fantastic. And what excites me most is that a lot of the average age for the new graduates is something within the age of 27, 28.
Really?
Yes.
That's really young.
So that's really young. And the excitement part of it is that those people can be in the system for longer. Just imagine in 2011, we had about 1,000 chartered accountants in the country. In 2015, we've got 4,000 plus, and the average age is going down, not going up, which is really good because the average accountant has got a super above average intelligence.
Really? Okay, am I supposed to agree with you on this one?
Totally.
But I want to say thank you, really.
Thank you.
We wish you the very best in your weeks-long celebration. Fred Moore, he is the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana. Always a pleasure having a conversation with him. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then. Stay with me. Still, I'll come back. We're talking a lot more Ghana politics here on our show.